Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had an amazing week. For those of you who tune in every single week, every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live, welcome back. And for those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, welcome. I'm Dr. Hammond here. Every Tuesday, we do a mental health moment with myself, and I, Dr. Hammond. And for those of you who are catching the replay on my YouTube page, be sure to subscribe to drnikishahammond.com. YouTube, you can always watch the replays on there if you miss a week. And thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let me know in the chat here if the chat wants to work with me today. Let me know in the chat here where you're tuning in from today. So I reside in the Tampa Bay area of Florida, but today I'm in Puerto Rico, where it's a little bit warmer, which is nice. And I know some of you that have been following Mental Health Moment for a while knew that at the beginning of this year, it was a little rough for me as a Floridian and all that snow that I was traveling to. But this week is the beach. So I am much more excited about seeing some sunshine like Florida here. But let me know where you're tuning in from today. Greetings to you as well. Zephyr Hills is in the house. Zephyr Hills, Florida is in the house. San Francisco, Chicago, Illinois, Miami, Philly, Huntington Beach, California. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. St. Louis, Missouri is in the house. Texas. Welcome, welcome. And thanks again for joining. In case you missed it, so this month we are talking about releasing. So, meaning releasing your stress, releasing your worries, releasing whatever it is that you need to release. Again, we're only a couple months into this new year, you all. So there's still a lot usually that we just really need to be releasing. Maybe it's something from last year. I know on last mental health moment, when we talked about in the chat, what did you want to release, right? What did you need to release? Some of you said the stress. Some of you said toxic relationships. For some of you, it might be negative self-talk, which we talked about all month long in February, right? So there's different things that we all need to release. And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let's see, Jackson, Mississippi is checking in, Alabama, Charlotte, North Carolina, Michigan, Cairo, Egypt, the Bahamas. Welcome, welcome. New Jersey's in the house with a couple exclamation points. Welcome. Cayman Islands, Connecticut, Tampa, Florida. Welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So on today's mental health moment, we're going to continue that journey of what you need to release. So again, thinking about if it is toxic relationships, if it is your stress of some sort, if it is maybe you're moving into a new territory, a new transition in your life. Maybe it's a new job, or maybe it's retirement from a job. Maybe it's a new child or new grandchild, or some other transition that's happening. Sometimes it can be really overwhelming. Even the good things, right, that happen to us. Sometimes a lot happens all at once, so we can be very overwhelmed. And then sometimes, of course, we're going through our harder, more challenging seasons. And during those times, of course, right, we might need to release our stress and anxiety. So either way, knowing, and hi again for those who are still starting to join here. But either way, again, this month is all about releasing. So last week we talked about what we need to release, right? Identifying for you, everyone is different. There's no right or wrong. And today I'm going to go over a couple of tips of how, right? Like what's the how? How do you release this stress or this anxiety, the worrying, like all those types of things, right? And I will tell you again, as I always tell you on Mental Health Moment, nothing is overnight. Mental health is a journey. Every single one of us are on it. We're at different places in that journey, but we're all on a mental health journey, a wellness journey for ourselves to become the best version of who we are, which is what Mental Health Moment is all about. So we're all at different places, which is completely okay. Someone said they're here from Chicago. Welcome. New Orleans, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. So the first tip today I want you to think about is when you think about how do you get rid of this stress? Like how do you release, if you will, whatever it is, again, that you feel like right now I just need to release whatever it is. The first thing I want you to think about is you have to learn for you, what is your calm zone? Okay, so the first thing is what is your calm zone? And the place where the place that is calm for you, it's actually two areas, right? So the first one is physically, like there could be a physical place that is calm for you. So what I mean by that, for example, like for me, there's a certain place in my house. I don't know what it is, maybe because the sun's shining in the window at that place. I don't know. But it's just a really calm space. It's a very calm space where it just literally makes me feel calmer, more relaxed. I can just take some deep breaths in that physical space, right? So there's a place in my house that just, sort of has that effect on me. I love, as many of you know, I love nature. I was just out actually on the beach today since I'm close to the beach in Puerto Rico, just trying to take in the ocean, feel the sand, right? So the physical places for you, is it somewhere, where you live? Is it somewhere outside of where you reside? Is it an ocean? Is it a lake? Is it a mountain? Is it nature? Is it someone else's house, right? Like there's certain places though, when you really think about it, physical places, there's certain physical places that really get you to a state of peace of mind, right? And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Someone said my room. Yeah, let me know in the chat here where it is for you, right? And it could be like, what's so fascinating as a psychologist, you all, I hear so many stories. And it's first of all, I love hearing stories, frankly, of different people's lives and learning about different cultures and traveling to all these places and meeting people through different communities. And what's so fascinating is we all really have a different place. So for someone said in the chat, my room. For some people, that's overwhelming, right? It's just an overwhelming place. So it's not at all peaceful. And for others of you, you're like, yeah, my safe or calming place is my room, which is great, right? So there's no right or wrong here. It's for you, and you know what I mean. You have to. It sort of takes a gut instinct, if you will, but there, if you really tune into yourself and you really get into certain places, even for me too, certain cities just bring me a lot more joy. And maybe you're like that too, like certain areas, like you just feel into like, man, this is a really calm place for me. Like it just has that effect on you. And again, we're all different. Someone said, someone said my car. I love that. Perfect. Right. Someone said I love hiking. I sitting by the water. Someone said my yard with my dog. Uh, Seattle brings me joy. That's so cool. That's awesome. The beach in Pacific, California. Someone else in my car as well. Sitting in my car alone or my bedroom. Storytelling. All good. Someone said my space is in my dining room and of course the beach. Wonderful. So again, so those are different examples, right? Of a physical place that can, if you want to think of it as like your calm zone, that you can, sometimes you can go to, right? Like sometimes you're just stressed out at a certain place. You might not be able to get to the beach, or you might not be able to get to your kind of calm space, which is why though, secondly, it's really important in these calm zones that you think of the physical space, which you may or may not always be able to get to, but also the mental space, right? So it's about creating, we talked all about that all month long in January, about shifting our mindset, but the mental space, if you will, is what you are creating that calm space for you. So what I like to do personally is, because y'all, my schedule, like everyone else's schedule, is just ridiculous, all over the place with a ton of stuff to do, right? And all of us are like that. We all have our to-do list. You got to do this, and somebody called you, now they need this, and something happened. Like we all have that. So for me, I like to do what's called a brain dump. I love to do it. I do it often. I do it in electronic forms, or sometimes I write it down. But when I think of it, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me list out, like, and it's not just, it is a to-do list, but it's also like, just kind of get it out of your brain. Because otherwise all these things are swimming in your head, which can really lead to a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. So like writing it down, like getting it out somehow. If you put it on your phone, if you put it, for me, I have like little post-it notes things on my computer, like when I think of it, or maybe it's jotting it in my planner, like wherever it is, just trying to get it out of your head, trying to create a calm space, if you will, inside mentally as well, right? Um, the other thing is to think about, again, it kind of goes along with the to-dos, but as much as you can organize in whatever way works for you. Some of you need to write things down, right? You like to write things down physically. For some of you, maybe it's your phone calendar or your, wherever you organize your life, when you take a little bit more time to do that, again, to get it out of your brain. We are overwhelmed, you all. COVID happened. We were inundated with information during that time. I don't know if you remember. I do very clearly. Back in 2020, when COVID pandemic hit, all of us were, I mean, between the quarantines, between trying to figure out how to stay safe, between trying to figure out survival, then we're maybe some of us were thinking about families or friends, or this was happening. It was so overwhelming. Our brain, well, there's a lot of research that's saying some of us are still processing that, right? So because of that, that's just one piece. And then you have your personal life. Because of all of that, we have to really think about how do we get to a calmer space in our mind, right? So again, so number one, the number one tip is to find the calm zone for you often, and which is physical space, hopefully, and also though the mental place. But it really is about releasing. And again, I don't want to minimize anything. These are not tools that it's an overnight fix, if you will, right? With mental health. Again, we're all at different spaces, and that's okay. Someone said, let's see. Someone said they enjoy making floral arrangements, listening to gospel music. That's how they get into their mental calming place, if you will, mentally. Wonderful. Someone said their bathtub is relaxing. Nothing wrong with a good bath. Very good. That's a great physical space that can bring a lot of relaxation, that can maybe just have you practice mindfulness. If you guys like, baths, things like that, like just to practice that mindfulness, staying in the present moment, even if it's just a short amount of time, that counts too. Someone said my couch. Nothing wrong with that. Again, relaxing place. Wonderful. Someone said going within, very important. Taking cool showers makes me feel good. Wonderful. Spending time with God. Someone else said a bathtub. This is a popular one tonight. Someone said we have so many distractions in our life. Yes, we do, which is why it's so important. Again, this month we're talking all month long, for those of you just joining here, about this is sort of the how to, if you will, how to release all these things. And number one is important to find that calm zone. Someone said my porch at 4 a.m. with a cup of coffee and my Bible. Beautiful. You all, I always say this on Mental Health Moment. For those of you not new, please do what works for you. For me personally, and that's amazing. The 4 a.m. I honor you and respect you. I will not be getting up at 4 a.m. because I am not at all a morning person, but I'm more of a night owl, right? So though, do what works for you, right? If you are a morning person, then get up early. That's amazing. If you're a night owl, then stay up late if you need to, right? You have to know, do what works for you. And I love that, by the way. I really, really respect early morning risers, by the way. But someone said I do box breathing. I love it. Taking a breath of fresh air. Wonderful. Love it. Love it. I love all these things. So the next thing, so number one, again, finding your calm zone. Number two, this is a tactic that you have heard before. However, really, really critically important that you add this more into your life when we're thinking about how do we release all this stress, all this anxiety, all the distractions, all of these things, right? And so number one again was finding your calm zone physically and mentally. Number two is incorporating more deep breathing. I recognize that you've probably heard 300 times in your life about how important deep breathing is. However, I want to strongly encourage you to continue to add that practice into your life. For some of you, you're like, oh my God, Dr. Hammond, like, I don't want to do deep breathing because I don't want to add anything else into my life, right? Then again, some of you may have known last year we did the take a minute challenge. A minute out of your day, 60 seconds. You can even time yourself on your phone as a start. Of course, the goal is to add more and more time. But the reason why this is important is the deep breathing is not just for mental benefits, frankly, but it's also for physical benefits, you all. This is something, it could, not only does it lower your heart rate, it can help with high blood pressure. I'm not saying it's a cure by any means. Don't say Dr. Hammond said I'm curing my high blood pressure with this. But it does help to regulate more blood pressure. It helps with heart rate. It helps with a lot of physical issues as well when you start to really incorporate the cleansing breaths. So important. Reminding yourself is also going to be critically important. Some of you already talked about how you incorporate that, and even the calm zones, if you will, as well, right? So that this doesn't have to be different things that you do at different times. If you're at the beach, like some of you said, if you're in your bathtub, right? What else did we say? If we're, taking a good shower, if we're in our dining room or in our car or bedroom, right? Wherever it is that you're like, man, I just need to take some time, right? So you're in that physical space. We'll also start to incorporate the deep breathing. There are like 3 million types of deep breathing exercises on Google. So I won't bother to go through specifically that with you, because you can literally Google deep breathing exercises. There's like literally millions of things out there. Good stuff, right? If you need that help, there's tons of apps, all that good stuff. But what I want to encourage you to do today is to add it into your life more. If you're not doing it already, then start. If you are doing it, try to incorporate it more. It is really life changing, because again, as someone mentioned, with all of the distractions that we have, what happens is literally our nervous system, sometimes we're like, what's next, right? We've all been there. I've been there too, right? There's certain things that may be happening right now for you in your life. Maybe you're at a place where you're like, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm about to scream. Right? So what happens to your physically to your body, though, when you're in that state, is your body is looking for the stress, looking for the trauma. What's next? Like that is what you're training your body to do. But when you start to train your body to take the deep breaths, you're actually teaching your body and your brain, as you know, there's a mind body connection, you all are teaching your mind and your body to learn to relax, right? To teaching your body about resilience. Your body listens to those things. Your brain remembers those things. And I'm not saying that hard things aren't going to happen, they will, but you're strengthening your brain, you're strengthening your body to say, you know what, I can get through. So it doesn't make the stress stop that comes, but it makes your reactions to it go, okay, I can handle this. This happened today at work. This happened today with my brother, sister, mother, father, whoever, right? These things are happening. This stress is happening. This thing's happening in the world that's bothering me. Whatever it is, your brain and your body is like, you know what? I can do this. I can handle this, right? So that's the second thing to remember, to incorporate the deep breathing. You are training your body, you're training your mind how to respond to things, because I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but the stress level, you all, and what it does, not just to your brain, not just to being overwhelmed, not just being mentally overwhelmed, but also you can physically overwhelm your body with stress, right? We know that stress is linked to diabetes and high blood pressure and all sort of heart issues. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like stress can cause all these things. But when you train your brain and your body again with the deep breathing regularly, then you're training your brain, you're training your body to respond in a way that you can benefit you um, mentally and physically. Yep. Someone said, um, what is it? Oh, someone said my calm zone is meditation and relaxing in bed. All good. I love that. I love this. And stay focused on your goal to become a better person. Absolutely. So that's my second tip. So my third tip, as I wrap up here today, the third thing I want you to think about again when you're thinking about how do I release all this stress, all anxiety, and all these worries, right? My third and final thing for you is to be very careful of your language. Very careful of your language to yourself. And yes, there's affirmations. Affirmations work for a lot of people. Very important too. But what I mean by that is you're also training your brain, if you will. You're also working on releasing by telling yourself it's going to be okay. Let me give you an example. Think about if there was I'm just gonna say a little girl, right, that fell down and got hurt and skinned her knee, right, and she was getting up. Like most people, at least, you would try to comfort her, right? Like think of the things that you would tell to this little girl. Like she's crying, she fell down, bruised knee. Think of the things you would tell her. You'd be like, oh, you're going to be okay, you're going to be all right. Do you need a hug? What do you need? Do you need a band-aid? Right? You're going to try to comfort her. So the same way you would react to a child that's hurt is the same way when you're stressed out, you're hurt, you're angry, you're disappointed, all these emotions are coming about. I want you to think about, for you, because you deserve to be happy and emotionally healthy too, how would you comfort yourself? Right? What are the things that you can tell yourself, like, okay, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through, like, whatever it is for you. Like, if there's a certain comforting language that works for you. For me, that's part of my affirmation or part of my belief system. I always say, keep going, keep growing. I have my sticker here, right here on my laptop, so I see it every single day. Keep going, keep growing, keep going, keep growing. Right. So that's like a comforting phrase for me. But for you, and you can put it in the chat if you want, what's a comforting phrase for you? Because that's the third thing today. When you're in the midst of it, and maybe we're all at different places. So right now you might be at a point where you're like, man, life is amazing, which is wonderful. Like, life can be amazing too, right? And happy. Or you might be at a point where you're like, man, I am struggling emotionally and mentally and spiritually, and all these things are happening, right? You might be in a trial and tribulation, if you will, right now, right? We're all in different seasons. But no matter what, when you have the comforting language for you, and hopefully, again, a mental health moment, I welcome every single type of religious belief, every type of race, ethnicity, gender, everyone's welcome here. But if you do believe in a higher power, maybe you have that to cling to, your spirituality or religious beliefs or whatever it is, right, to get you through. But still, you have to tell yourself some type of comforting language. So what is it that you tell yourself? Right? Someone said, I love that. Someone said, one day at a time, is their language. You're absolutely welcome. Someone said, my comforting phrase is, this too shall pass. Right? So, and thank you for sharing that in the chat here. So these things are important, you all, because again, it just depends on what season you're in. You might be a season where you're like, man, I feel alone. There's a whole, they just did a study the other day. I forgot who did the study, but I just read an article the other day about how chronic the loneliness has been, especially after COVID-19. A lot has changed, right? So you might be in that space right now for whatever reason, and you might have a ton of people around you. It has nothing to do with that, but you might have this chronic feeling of loneliness or emptiness, right? So when you do, though, and it may or may not be true, because it's just perception, is just how it is. Depression lies to you, anxiety lies to you. That's just how mental health works sometimes. But nonetheless, when you train yourself to say, okay, I am going to work on, again, connecting to a higher power, or telling myself this powerful and comforting language, you're training yourself to learn how to release these things and how to be okay in the midst of a lot of things that are going to happen to us. That's just how life is, right? Someone said also, this too shall pass. That's a popular one tonight. Mine is, you got this, or you can do it. I love that. I absolutely love that. And look at these in the chat here, you all, because for some of you, you might be like, oh, I don't know. I don't really have a phrase, but feel free to steal someone else's, right? I'm sure you all give permission. You might look at a phrase and be like, you know what, that's resonating with me right now. I want to incorporate this in my life. Beautiful. What? Please do. Right? Please do. So I love that. You got this. You can do it. And another thing, I know we're not on the child mental health tips today. That's always the first Tuesday of the month. But this is something that's important to teach to children as well, to teach them early on about how they can comfort themselves. There's a lot of kids sitting in school and they are struggling with their mental health, right? And they may not feel the teacher, agrees with them, or their peers, or whatever it is, and they have this loneliness. But when they learn mentally how to comfort themselves, to, like someone said, you're going to be okay, you got this, you can do this, all those sorts of things, that's very powerful. And yep, someone said, I have to remind myself to just breathe. Ooh, I do that one a lot too. I really, you all, sometimes my schedule is so crazy sometimes, and I'm just like, okay, just breathe, breathe. And I take some deep breaths, and I literally say that to myself. Like, that's another phrase too, that just the reminder, like, just breathe, like, you connect to your breath and just breathe, right? Just breathe through it. They're very good. Someone said, what would Jesus do? Someone said, God got this, with 3 exclamation points. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that. Someone said, you got this. We got this. Let's go. I love this. This is so great. Let go and let God was another phrase that someone said. Beautiful, wonderful. These are great phrases. And again, there's no right or wrong, you all. You just have to. I'm sharing this with you because one of the things I want you to remember, um, out of every single mental health moment, is that mental health is a journey, as I always say, but you have to constantly be reevaluating where you are in your mental health journey, right? What you need today may not have been something you needed 5 years ago or 10 years ago, or it may not be something you need 5 years from now or 10 years from now, right? We are different, we evolve, we change, right? So these things that you can think about incorporating, again, down the road, you might need something else, and that's okay. You're allowed to change, right? But take the time as much as you can to really know what you need for yourself, to know what you need to be the best version of who you are, to know what you need to have the strongest emotional and mental health that you can have so you can thrive. Someone said, but God, I love that. Someone said they remind themselves prayer changes things. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful, wonderful. And I appreciate again you guys sharing that. Before I wrap up today, I do want to share, and I've shared it before. You can always go to drnikishahammond.com and go to events. But if you do happen to be in the Ocala, Florida area, actually it's rapidly coming up this Saturday. I will be keynoting the Early Childhood Conference there, talking about family mental health, talking about recovery after COVID-19. How do we kind of get back on track and those sorts of things? So I will be at that conference. So feel free to get details at drnikishahammond.com. You can register again if you're in the area. And then on Saturday, April 8th, I will be in Hampton, Virginia, and I will be keynoting the National Black Child Development Institute conference, or not conference, but their fundraising gala. It's the Hampton Roads chapter, and I'm super excited about that, just to talk about the state of Black youth and their mental health and how we can empower Black youth in our communities. So again, all the information will be on drnikishahammond.com if you're in either of those areas. Would love to connect with you, but I will be at those conferences, again, always sharing, empowering communities when it comes to mental health, which is my passion, which is what I love to do, and I'm honored to do it. If you need to connect with me at any time, you can always reach out on social media. Just look for Dr. Nikisha Hammond on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm more than happy to connect with you. I'm usually sharing mental health resources on one of those platforms on a daily basis. So be sure to connect. If you need any mental health resources, you can always reach out on social media. Just send a direct message. I will do my best to connect you with someone. Thank you all so much today for participating. Thank you all for really tuning in and putting this information in the chat today. And the reason why I say this is because some of you, and that's totally fine, you can participate or not, but some of you may be reading this. There's people that are reading this that maybe didn't type something in, but you're like, man, that made me think about something, right? That made me think about a phrase I can use. That made me think about something I can do for my self-care. That made me think about how can I grow emotionally and mentally and be healthy, because you deserve it. And you deserve to be healthy. You deserve to be emotionally healthy, right? So these types of chats are really important for other people to see too, for you to share, and other people are benefiting from you sharing this information as well. So I appreciate you all. You're absolutely welcome. Someone said, thank you. I definitely needed this somewhat midweek encouragement. Absolutely. Absolutely. So stay encouraged, you all. And I will be back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe I will be back in Puerto Rico next week as well. So I am in a warm climate. So I'm having a great week, you all. And some of you that are new, you may not know, but again, I travel often with some project or another. And I do not like the snow, which is why I'm laughing today, because I'm actually in a warm climate, which is closer, of course, to the climate in Florida. So I'm pretty excited about that. But nonetheless, have an amazing week, you all. Stay blessed. Again, think about your calm zones. Think about your language that you're telling yourself, right? There's a lot of things that we can do to improve our mental health. And I'll see you all. I'll see you all next week. Have a great week. Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great week. Bye, y'all.